AITA for evicting my stepsister's MLM inventory from my inherited storage unit and billing her for the disposal? Posted to r/entitled parents. Buckle up, because this is going to be a long one. I've been lurking on this sub for years, never thinking I'd have my own story to share, but here we are. I need to get this off my chest and maybe get some validation that I'm not the villain my family is making me out to be. Background. I'm 26F, and I work as a bank teller at a regional credit union. It's not glamorous, but I'm good at it, I have excellent benefits, and I'm slowly working my way toward a management position. I've always been the responsible one in my family, the one who saves money, plans ahead, and doesn't make impulsive decisions. This will become relevant. My mom passed away when I was 8, and my dad remarried when I was 11. My stepmother, Linda, 48F, has never been outright cruel to me, but there's always been this undercurrent of favoritism toward her biological daughter, my stepsister Bree, 23F. I accepted this dynamic a long time ago. It stung growing up, but I learned to rely on myself and, more importantly, on my Aunt Margaret. Aunt Margaret was my mom's older sister, and she was my rock after Mom died. She never had kids of her own, and she treated me like I was her daughter. She's the one who helped me with college applications, who gave me my first real interview outfit, who taught me about investing and building credit. While my dad and Linda were focused on Bree's various ventures, Aunt Margaret was quietly making sure I had the tools to succeed. When Aunt Margaret passed away 18 months ago after a battle with pancreatic cancer, I was devastated. But she left me something that changed my life. Her condo. It's a modest 2-bedroom unit in a decent part of town, and it came with a storage unit in the building's basement. The mortgage was paid off, and she'd left enough in savings to cover the HOA fees for 3 years while I got on my feet. I was overwhelmed with gratitude. Finally, I had something that was mine, something no one could take from me. Or so I thought. The setup. Here's where things get complicated. When I inherited the condo, I was still living in my cramped studio apartment across town. It took me about 4 months to properly transition into the new place because I wanted to do some updates first. New paint, deep cleaning, replacing the ancient carpet with laminate flooring. I did most of the work myself on weekends to save money. During this transition period, I made a mistake. I mentioned to my dad at a family dinner that the condo came with a storage unit, and that I was temporarily keeping the key at my apartment since I hadn't moved my things over yet. Linda's ears perked up at this, but I didn't think much of it at the time. 2 weeks later, I noticed the spare key to the storage unit was missing from the hook by my door. I tore my apartment apart looking for it, eventually convincing myself I must have misplaced it during the chaos of moving. I figured I'd just get a replacement from the building manager and moved on with my life. It wasn't until I'd been living in the condo for 3 months that I finally decided to check out the storage unit. I had some of Aunt Margaret's things I wanted to store there. Photo albums, her antique sewing machine, holiday decorations, and I was excited to finally set it up. When I opened that door, my stomach dropped. The storage unit, my storage unit, was packed floor to ceiling with boxes. And not just any boxes. Boxes emblazoned with LulaRich leggings and Nutrivibe wellness solutions. For those who don't know, LulaRich is one of those MLM legging companies that was everywhere a few years ago, and Nutrivibe is a supplement pyramid scheme that promises weight loss through natural botanical blends that probably contain nothing more than caffeine and wishful thinking. I stood there in shock, trying to process what I was seeing. There had to be hundreds of boxes. Racks of leggings in eye-watering patterns hung from a portable clothing rack someone had wedged in the corner. Boxes of supplements were stacked like a fortress. And taped to the inside of the door was a hand-drawn sign that read, Bree's Boutique and Wellness Center, Inventory Storage. I called Bree immediately. The Confrontation. Oh my God, you finally found it, Bree said when she answered, her voice dripping with forced cheerfulness. Isn't it amazing? I've been building my empire, sis. Bree, what is all of this? Why is it in MY storage unit? Well, Mom said you weren't using it, and I needed somewhere to keep my inventory. Do you know how expensive commercial storage is? This saved me like $300 a month. I felt the vein in my temple start to throb. Linda gave you a key to MY storage unit? When? How? Like, 4 months ago? She got it from your apartment when she helped you pack that one time. She said you'd be fine with it since you're always going on about supporting family. I absolutely did not recall ever saying that, but more pressing issues were at hand. Bree, you need to get this stuff out of here. This weekend. There was a long pause. I can't do that. I have a huge showcase next month, and I need to be able to access my inventory. Besides, some of my customers have this address for pickups. What? Yeah, it's super convenient. They just come by, text me, and I bring their orders up from storage. It's basically my brick-and-mortar location now. My blood pressure was reaching dangerous levels. You've been giving out my address to strangers? They're not strangers, they're my customers. God, why are you being so dramatic? I hung up and immediately called my dad, explaining the situation. I expected him to be on my side. He was not. Honey, I really think you're overreacting, Dad said in his infuriatingly calm voice. Bree's trying to build something for herself. Can't you be supportive? It's just a storage unit. It's my storage unit, Dad. That Aunt Margaret left to me. Your aunt would have wanted you to help family. She was always generous. That's when I saw red. Aunt Margaret was generous with me because Linda and Dad had never been. The audacity of him invoking her name to justify this was staggering. I'll give Bree 2 weeks to clear everything out, I said through clenched teeth. After that, I'm changing the locks. Update 1. 1 week later. I thought setting a clear boundary would resolve this. I was wrong. The very next Saturday morning, I was awakened at 7:45 a.m. by someone buzzing my unit repeatedly. Still in my pajamas, I stumbled to the intercom. Hello. Hi. I'm here to pick up my LuLaRich order from Bree's boutique. She said to buzz Unit 4B. I felt my eye twitch. There's no boutique here. This is a private residence. Oh, but I have the address right here on her card. I had to explain to this poor, confused woman that she'd been given incorrect information. She was understanding about it, but I was mortified. And it didn't stop there. Over the next 3 days, I had 7 different people show up looking for leggings, supplements, or both. One woman brought her 4 children and demanded to see the showroom. Another guy got aggressive when I told him there was no business operating from my address, insisting I was trying to steal his pre-order. I confronted Bree again, this time via text so I'd have documentation. Bree, you need to stop giving people my address. I had 7 customers show up this week. OMG, that's amazing. My marketing is really working. Can you just tell them to wait while you run down and grab their orders? I'll Venmo you $5 for your trouble smiling face with smiling eyes. No. Absolutely not. I am not your warehouse employee. The deadline to remove your inventory is this Saturday. I'm serious. You're being so selfish. This is my career. Do you want me to fail? I want you to respect my property and my boundaries. She left me on read. By Friday, nothing had been moved. I knew what I had to do. I called a locksmith and had the storage unit lock replaced. I also sent a certified letter to Bree and CC'd Linda and my dad, formally notifying them that any property remaining in the storage unit after 30 days would be considered abandoned and disposed of according to my state's abandoned property laws. I'd done my research. Working at a bank has taught me a lot about protecting yourself legally. The family group chat exploded. Linda, I cannot believe you would treat your own sister this way. Your aunt would be ashamed. Dad, can we please just discuss this like adults? There's no need for lawyers and letters. Bree, you changed the locks. I have a showcase in 2 weeks. I'm going to sue you. You have 30 days to arrange removal of your property with my supervision present. That's more than fair and more than legally required. I'll be documenting everything. Then came the message that still makes my blood boil when I think about it. Linda, it's really sad that you can't support women entrepreneurs. Bree is trying to build generational wealth for her future family, and you're standing in the way because of petty jealousy. Your mother would be disappointed. I screenshot everything and saved it to multiple cloud drives. Update 2. The inventory assessment. After the certified letter was sent, I decided I needed to know exactly what I was dealing with. I took a Saturday afternoon to properly inventory everything in the storage unit. I brought a notebook, my phone camera, and a growing sense of dread. The results were worse than I'd imagined. LuLaRich leggings. 47 boxes of assorted leggings, approximately 12 pairs per box equals 564 pairs. 23 loose pairs hanging on the rack, various sizes, mostly XS and 3XL, the sizes that never sell. Estimated retail value based on their website, $12,408. Estimated actual value based on the fact that LuLaRich has been hemorrhaging consultants and their products end up in dollar stores. Maybe $400 on a good day. NutraVibe supplements. 89 boxes of Tropical Metabolism Boost powder, 34 boxes of Collagen Renewal Complex capsules, 22 boxes of Detox Dream tea, 12 bottles of something called Youth Elixir that looked genuinely concerning. All of the supplements were set to expire within 6 to 8 months. Estimated retail value $8. $847 estimated actual value, approximately $0. Since expired supplements can't be sold and are potentially hazardous waste. Total retail value Bree had been claiming, over $21,000 in inventory assets. Total realistic value, maybe $500, and that's being generous. But here's what really got me. As I was photographing everything, I found a box of Bree's business cards. Professional quality, thick cardstock, rose gold foil lettering. They read, Bree's Boutique and Wellness Bree Patterson, CEO and Wellness Advocate, Curated Fashion, Holistic Health, Financial Freedom. And underneath, in elegant script, my condo's address, listed as flagship location, by appointment only. She had 500 of these cards. I also found a laminated business plan that detailed her goals for the year. She wanted to recruit 15 team members by summer, qualify for a leadership retreat in Cancun, and eventually quit her part-time job at the tanning salon to pursue entrepreneurship full-time. The delusion was so thick I could have cut it with a knife. I documented everything meticulously, photographs with timestamps, a detailed spreadsheet of inventory, copies of all the business materials that featured my address. Then I went upstairs and poured myself a very large glass of wine. Update 3. The Family Dinner from Hell. 2 weeks into the 30-day notice period, my dad called and asked, more like begged, me to come to a family dinner so we could work this out like civilized people. Against my better judgment, I agreed. I thought maybe, just maybe, face-to-face conversation would help them understand my perspective. I was spectacularly wrong. When I arrived, it was immediately clear that this was an ambush, not a dinner. Linda, Bree, my dad, and, to my surprise, Linda's sister Cheryl were all seated in the living room with matching expressions of disappointed concern. Like they were staging an intervention for someone with a gambling addiction, except I was the one being treated like I had the problem. Sweetie, sit down, Linda said with false warmth. We want to help you. Help me with what, exactly? Your attitude, Bree cut in. You've been so negative lately, and it's affecting everyone. I remained standing. My attitude is a direct response to finding thousands of dollars of MLM inventory illegally stored in my property without my knowledge or consent. There you go with the word illegal again, my dad sighed. Nobody did anything illegal. This is family. Actually, unauthorized use of someone else's property is. This is what we're talking about. Linda interrupted. You've become so cold and calculating. It's like you care more about rules and laws than about your own family. Aunt Cheryl leaned forward. I've seen this before, honey. Sometimes when people receive a sudden windfall, like an inheritance, it changes them. Makes them selfish. We're worried about you. I stood there, stunned, as 4 adults tried to gaslight me into believing that protecting my own property made me the villain. Let me make sure I understand, I said slowly. Linda stole a key from my apartment. She gave it to Bree without my knowledge. Bree filled my storage unit with MLM merchandise, gave my home address to strangers, and has been operating an unlicensed business for my residents for months. And I'm the problem. You're twisting everything. Bree wailed. I was just trying to build something for myself. Not everyone has a rich dead aunt who hands them a free condo. The room went very quiet. I picked up my bag. Aunt Margaret left me that condo because she actually showed up for me when no one else did. She didn't hand me anything. She loved me, and I spent years earning that love. Don't you ever mention her again. I walked out without looking back. The text started before I reached my car. Dad, that was uncalled for. Please come back so we can talk rationally. Linda, I hope you're happy. Bree is hysterical. Bree, I'm never speaking to you again. You ruined everything. I muted the group chat and drove home in silence. Update 4, the collapse. You know what's funny about pyramid schemes? They always collapse. It's not a matter of if, but when. And Bree's empire fell apart faster than even I had anticipated. About a week after the disastrous family dinner, I started getting frantic texts from Bree. The 30-day deadline was approaching, and suddenly she was very motivated to get her inventory out. Bree, hey, so I need to get my stuff this weekend. Can we schedule a time? Me, Saturday between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. I'll be present the entire time. Bree, actually can we do like 7 a.m.? I need to load everything into Derek's truck and he has work at noon. Me, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Those are your options. Bree, OMG fine. Selfish much. Saturday arrived, and so did Bree, in tears. I watched from a folding chair as she and her boyfriend Derek loaded box after box into his already stuffed pickup truck. Bree was sniffling the entire time, occasionally shooting me wounded looks as if I were personally responsible for her suffering. "I hope you're happy," she finally snapped. "I'm going to have to rent an actual storage unit now. Do you know how much that costs? I believe you mentioned $300 a month, which you've been avoiding for the past 7 months. So you actually owe me $2,100 in equivalent rent." Her face went through several colors before settling on puce. "You're charging me?" "I'm just doing the math, Bree. You said it yourself. You saved $300 a month by using my unit without permission. That's called theft of services." Derek wisely stayed quiet and kept loading boxes. When the storage unit was finally empty, I inspected it thoroughly. There were stains on the concrete floor. Something had leaked from one of the supplement boxes and left a suspicious greenish residue. The walls had been scratched by the clothing rack. I took photos of everything. "I expect you to pay for cleaning and repairs," I said. Bree laughed, but it had a hysterical edge. "With what? Do you have any idea what's happening to me right now?" And then it came pouring out. LuLaRich had restructured its compensation plan, making it nearly impossible for consultants at Bree's level to earn commissions. Half her downline, the people she'd recruited, had quit, which killed her monthly bonuses. The company had also been hit with a class action lawsuit, and consultants were abandoning ship en masse. Meanwhile, NutraVibe had received a warning letter from the FDA about unsubstantiated health claims, and retailers were refusing to carry their products. The company had pivoted to a subscription model that none of Bree's customers wanted. "I'm in $15,000 of credit card debt," Bree admitted, her voice cracking. "I haven't made a sale in 6 weeks. I don't know what to do with all this inventory. Mom and Dad are saying they can't help because they already lent me money for my startup costs and I still haven't paid them back." For a brief moment, I felt a twinge of sympathy. But then I remembered every dismissive comment, every entitled demand, every time she and Linda had treated me like a lesser member of the family. "I'm sorry you're going through this," I said carefully. "But none of this is my responsibility. You made choices, and these are the consequences." She left without another word. Update 5, the aftermath. It's been 3 months since the storage unit was cleared out, and I finally have the closure I needed. The greenish stain on the storage unit floor? It cost me $200 to have professionally cleaned after attempts to scrub it myself failed. The scratches on the wall needed to be repainted to avoid an HOA violation. Another $150. I sent Bree an invoice with photographs and documentation. She never paid. I didn't expect her to, honestly. From what I've heard through family grapevine, Dad occasionally breaks our mutual silence to update me on things I don't ask about. Bree's situation has deteriorated significantly. She couldn't afford her actual storage unit rental, so guess where all that inventory went? Linda and Dad's garage. All $21,000, retail value, of unsellable leggings and soon-to-expire supplements are now taking up space in their 2-car garage, which means their cars are parked outside. The supplements are expiring, making them worthless even as a tax write-off. The leggings are increasingly out of style and piling up in thrift store donation bins across the city. Bree tried to liquidate her inventory on Facebook Marketplace for pennies on the dollar, but she still had hundreds of items left. Linda, meanwhile, has apparently become insufferable. She's been complaining to anyone who will listen about how unfair the MLM industry is, how her daughter was taken advantage of, and how certain family members refused to help during Bree's time of need. She's conveniently rewritten history to exclude her own role in facilitating this entire disaster. Dad called me last week. It was the first real conversation we'd had since the family dinner. "I owe you an apology," he said quietly. "I should have backed you up. I was trying to keep the peace, but I see now that just enabled bad behavior." "I appreciate that, Dad. But I need you to understand something. This wasn't about the storage unit. It was about being treated like my property, my boundaries, and my feelings don't matter. Linda stole from me. Bree exploited me. And you stood by and told me to let it happen." He didn't have a response to that. We talked for a while longer, tentatively, carefully. I don't know if our relationship will ever fully recover, but at least we're talking. That's more than I can say for Linda and Bree, who have both blocked me on everything. As for me, I'm doing better than ever, honestly. The condo is fully mine now, decorated exactly how I want it. I had the storage unit lock changed again just to be safe, and I'm using it to store Aunt Margaret's things, her sewing machine, her photo albums, her collection of vintage cookbooks. Things that actually have value to me. I've been promoted at work to a senior teller position, with a management track opening up next year. I've started building an emergency fund, something Aunt Margaret always stressed the importance of. I even adopted a cat named Margaret Jr., Maggie for short, who keeps me company in my very quiet, very peaceful condo. Last week, I visited Aunt Margaret's grave for the first time since this whole mess started. I told her everything, about the storage unit, about Bree, about finally standing up for myself. I know you would have handled it more gracefully, I told her. But I think you'd understand why I did what I did. A warm breeze picked up as I was talking, rustling the flowers I'd brought. I chose to interpret that as agreement. Final reflections. Looking back, I think the most frustrating part of this entire experience was being painted as the villain for enforcing completely reasonable boundaries. I was called selfish, jealous, unsupportive, and cold, all because I wouldn't let my stepsister treat my inherited property as her personal warehouse. The women supporting women and female entrepreneur language was particularly galling. There's nothing empowering about MLMs. They're predatory business models that disproportionately target women and leave them in financial ruin while enriching the people at the top. Bree wasn't building an empire. She was being exploited by companies that profit from her desperation. But she didn't want to hear that. Neither did Linda. And my dad just wanted everyone to get along, even if that meant sacrificing my interests for the sake of false peace. I've learned a lot through this experience. I've learned that boundaries aren't selfish, they're necessary. I've learned that being the responsible one in the family means people will try to exploit your responsibility. And I've learned that sometimes, the best thing you can do for yourself is stop trying to earn love from people who have never truly offered it. Aunt Margaret's condo wasn't just a gift of property. It was a gift of independence. For the first time in my life, I have something that's completely mine, something no one can take from me or use against me. And I'm never going to let anyone make me feel guilty for protecting it. Thanks for reading this whole saga, Reddit. Sometimes you just need to get it all out. TLDR, stepmother stole my storage unit key and gave it to stepsister, who filled the unit with $21,000 worth of MLM products and gave strangers my home address. Family called me unsupportive of women entrepreneurs when I evicted her inventory. Pyramid scheme collapsed. Stepsister is now $15,000 in debt with a garage full of expired supplements and ugly leggings, and I have a cat named after my aunt. Edit. Wow, I didn't expect this to blow up. To answer some common questions. Yes, I did consult with a lawyer about small claims court for the cleaning costs. She advised that while I'd likely win, the cost of filing and Bree's obvious inability to pay made it not worth pursuing. Sometimes you have to accept that the cost of peace of mind is a few $100s. No, I don't feel bad about how things turned out for Bree. She's an adult who made adult choices. My sympathy has limits. And yes, Maggie the cat is absolutely adorable. I'll try to figure out how to add the cat tax in the comments. Thanks for all the support, everyone. It means more than you know.